Morecambe Branch Line. The Morecambe Branch Line is a railway line in Lancashire, England from Lancaster to Morecambe and Heysham, where trains connect with ferries to Douglas, Isle of Man. To reach Heysham, trains must reverse at Morecambe. Almost all passenger services are operated by Northern. Most are shuttles between Lancaster and Morecambe, with only a limited service through to Heysham to connect with the ferries, primarily using Class 153 or Class 156 diesel multiple units. A few services continue beyond Lancaster to Skipton and Leeds. See Leeds Morecambe line, and generally use Class 150 and since December 2019 Class 158 unit. Since 1994, the two tracks between Bare Lane and Morecambe have been operated as two independent single lines, with no connection between them beyond Bare Lane. Only the southern line is connected to the Heysham branch. The line also sees freight trains operated by direct rail services, which serve Heysham Nuclear Power Station. History. Early years. The route is a fusion of lines opened by the London and North Western Railway (LNWR), the Little North Western Railway (NWR), and the Midland Railway, which built the branch to Heysham Harbour and Morecambe Promenade Terminus after it took over the NWR in 1874. The first proposals for a branch from Morecambe to the Lancaster and Carlisle Railway L&C at Hest Bank were put forward by the Morecambe Harbour and Railway Company, a constituent company of the NWR in 1840s. The L&C revived the scheme in 1858, with the intention of using the NWR harbour facilities suitably expanded to export coke and iron ore from the northeast, brought in via the South Durham and Lancashire Union Railway and the L&C Main Line. The NWR opposed the plans as it would lose its monopoly on traffic into the town, but its shaky finances eventually led it to reach an agreement with the L&C that would allow the latter to build its line, but not require the associated harbour improvements to be carried out. The 3-mile branch, including a link to the NWR station at Northumberland Street, was opened in August 1864. The hoped-for mineral traffic did not materialize, and the route remained a modest branch, although the LNWR did have to provide its own station at Poulton Lane from November 1870 because of increasing congestion at Northumberland Street. This was replaced by a rather more substantial terminus at nearby Euston Road in 1886 as part of an improvement scheme that also saw the construction of a west-to-south curve from Bare Lane to join the WCML at Moore, which permitted through running to Lancaster Castle without the need for a reversal, and hence gave access for longer distances. The branch was also doubled apart from the Hest Bank to Bare Lane curve, and a regular local service introduced between Euston Road and Lancaster Castle to complement that to slash from Hest Bank. Despite these improvements and a journey time similar to the older route, the Midland Line continued to carry most of the traffic to and from the town, especially after it was electrified in 1908. See below. The branch became more important after the 1923 grouping, with a London Euston to Heysham boat train commencing in 1928. This ran to Promenade Station, where it reversed for its journey to Heysham to meet the Belfast boat. Euston Road remained much quieter than Promenade for most of the year, though it did come into its own in the summer months when the regular local trains to Lancaster, Windermere, and Barrow-in-Furness were supplemented by a large number of seasonal through trains to destinations such as Glasgow Central, Crewe, Birmingham New Street, Manchester Victoria, and London. Electrification. The Midland Line was used for an early trial of electrification, opened between 13 April and 14 September 1908 using 6,600 VAC at 25 HC. In 1953, it was converted to 50 HC as a trial, and this experiment led to the 25 kV 50 HC system becoming standard for new electrification. Latterly, former LNWR Euston to Watford E-News ran on the Morecambe and Heysham line, converted to AC overhead operation. The branch remained electrified until it closed in 1966. Decline. Though Morecambe remained a popular resort after the nationalisation of the railway system in 1948, post-war road competition began to take its toll on traffic levels, and by the late 1950s, scheduled trains were diverted to Promenade from 15 September 1958, but Euston Road remained in seasonal use summer months only for several more years. The 1959 Saturday timetable from there listed no fewer. This was in addition to the usual scheduled services to Slash from Promenade. The station eventually closed to passengers at the end of the 1962 summer season on 8 September, although it was still listed in the 1963 summer timetable, but not actually served in practice, and continued to be used for parcels traffic and carriage stabling until 1965. The neighboring goods yard remained open for traffic until October 1972. The biggest changes to the route occurred soon after, as the 1963 Beeching Report recommended that it should be kept open rather than the Midland line to Lancaster Green Air, even though the latter was electrified. This proposal was ratified by the Ministry of Transport in August 1965, and on 3 January 1966 the Midland line closed to passenger traffic. An enhanced DMU shuttle to and from Lancaster Castle was introduced over the branch on the same day to replace the withdrawn services via Green Air. Trains from Leeds and Skipton were also diverted over the line from this date, using the former Furness and Midland Joint Railway to Carnforth. The only ex-Midland facilities to survive were the terminus at Promenade and the 1904 Heysham branch, which was retained to serve the ferry terminal and adjacent nuclear power plant. This lost its passenger trains in October 1975, following the withdrawal of Belfast sailings earlier that year. Recent changes. In May 1987, services from Leeds were diverted to run via Lancaster with a reversal rather than directly via Hestbank, and the Heysham branch was reopened to passengers in connection with the daily sailing to the Isle of Man. Promenade was replaced by a smaller station closer to the town centre in May 1994, and the Heysham line singled under the control of the signal box at Bare Lane. Following signalling renewal work in late 2012, the entire line is now supervised from the PSB at Preston. Services. Almost all passenger services are operated by Northern, which runs trains slightly more than once per hour in each direction. Most are shuttles between Lancaster and Morecambe, with just one train a day continuing to Heysham to connect with ferries, primarily using Class 153 or Class 156 diesel multiple units. A few services continue beyond Lancaster to Skipton and Leeds. See Leeds Morecambe line, and generally use Class 150 or occasionally Class 158 units. The first train each weekday was formerly serviced from Lancaster, though in the past it started back from Barrow to Windermere, which leaves the West Coast Main Line WCML at Hestbank South Junction, calls at Bare Lane and reverses at Morecambe, calls at Bare Lane again, and rejoins the WCML at Hestbank North Junction, and continues to Windermere. It provided a token parliamentary service over the Bare Lane to Hestbank Curve, and until April 2016 was operated by TransPennine Express. Prior to the December 2008 timetable change, it ran Windermere, Lancaster, Morecambe, Barrow in the late evening. 1 Monday to Saturday and 3 Sunday afternoon trains from Morecambe to Leeds were also scheduled to use the curve. Since the May 2019 timetable change, this is now provided by a solitary Monsat early morning train between Lancaster and Morecambe via Carnforth.